Jeff Bezos could hand a $105,000 bonus to every single Amazon worker and still be as rich as he was at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let that sink in. You might be one of the millions of people who uses Amazon every day. Maybe you're a student who uses it to buy cheap books. Maybe you're a parent who uses it for groceries. Maybe you're a business owner who uses Amazon Web Services to host your online web presence. Amazon is on its way to becoming the world's one-stop shop for everything from designer clothes to TVs to groceries. In fact, there's very little today that you can't get on Amazon. All of this is very much in line with the vision of Amazon's founder and CEO, Jeff Bezos. Bezos has said many times that his plan for Amazon is to make it the store where you buy everything. Not just anything, but everything. That's what the Prime service is all about. To us, it seems like a great deal to pay a relatively small amount per month and get free shipping on nearly everything we buy. But to Bezos, it's a way of shoring up Amazon's monopoly power. If you've got Prime, you'll probably start drifting towards Amazon for all your online purchases, and you'll end up buying things straight from Amazon rather than third-party retailers. In 2020, Amazon had its most profitable year ever. Its profits in 2020 went up by 84% compared to the previous year. Bezos, who has announced he will be stepping down, increased his personal wealth by $67.2 billion during the pandemic. He is now not just the richest man on the planet, but the richest man in the history of the world, according to Forbes magazine, worth nearly $200 billion. To put that in some context, Bezos' personal wealth is larger than the GDP of many countries.
That means that what we have built over 20 years, we have built $840 billion of wealth for other people. And that's great.
You might be thinking, so what? Bezos is clearly a smart guy with a good idea, and he's brought that idea to life to the benefit of millions of consumers all around the world. But whenever you hear a story like that of Jeff Bezos, you should immediately be wondering where all that money came from and what it means to live in a world in which one man has amassed so much wealth. Bezos' profits come at the expense of his workers, who are treated like robots, according to one union. An investigation by the Mirror and the Sun newspapers found that workers have to process a package every 9 seconds between when they start their shifts at 7:30 a.m. until they leave at 6 p.m. Another report, which surveyed over 500 employees, found that 55% of Amazon workers had been criticised for taking sick days, with female workers penalised for taking time off while pregnant. The GMB union filed a Freedom of Information request to the UK government, which showed that ambulances had been called to Amazon warehouses over 600 times, including 115 ambulance calls to one Amazon warehouse in the Midlands alone.
You said at one warehouse in the UK, Amazon workers called ambulances more than 115 times in 3 years?
Yeah, that was the warehouse I worked in, yeah. So that says it all, really, in my view.
Calls related to maternity and pregnancy issues, as well as to major trauma and breathing problems, fires and electrocution. You might have heard the horror stories about Amazon workers being forced to pee in bottles to avoid taking time off. Amazon has pushed back against these accusations, tweeting, "If that were true, no one would work for us." Only for Amazon workers to tweet their own pictures of bottles they've been forced to urinate in on the job in response.
People were receiving disciplinaries for taking toilet breaks. The productivity targets were so high.
The truth is, many Amazon workers have no choice other than to work for the company. In some towns in the US and the UK, Amazon provides some of the only jobs going, especially during a pandemic that has seen retail and hospitality close their doors. After a while, this could become a self-reinforcing process. With stores like Topshop permanently closing their doors while business at Amazon is booming, many more workers will be flocking to their warehouses for a job in the years to come. You might be wondering why workers aren't organising to demand better pay and conditions. The truth is, they are. Amazon is just trying to stop them. The company has been accused of aggressive anti-union tactics by several campaigning organisations. One group gained access to a leak video sent by Amazon HQ to local managers, saying, "We do not believe unions are in the best interest of our customers, our shareholders, or, most importantly, our associates. Our business model is built upon speed, innovation, and customer obsession." things that are generally not associated with a union. In other words, Amazon thinks that if its workers organised, the company wouldn't be able to force them to work as fast and hard as they currently do. If Amazon really treated their workers fairly, then why would they worry about workers joining a union at all? We should all be concerned about Amazon's huge profits and its treatment of its workers, because it is rapidly becoming one of the biggest companies on the planet. In its drive to become the everything store, Amazon is buying up businesses all over the world. It has merged with or acquired over 100 companies in 15 different countries, from food retailer Whole Foods to the pharmacy PillPack. Amazon is fast becoming one of the world's most powerful oligopolies. And we know that monopoly and oligopoly power drives negative outcomes across society. It's associated with lower wages, lower corporate tax revenues, and lower levels of innovation and investment. Amazon's monopoly power is also having a hugely damaging impact on the environment upon which we all depend. According to its own reporting, Amazon released 44.4 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents into the atmosphere. That's about the same as the total annual emissions of Norway. While Bezos has said he's going to reduce Amazon's environmental impact, Amazon Web Services, the most profitable arm of the company, still provides services to huge oil and gas companies. The New York Times also showed that Amazon donates money to think tanks in the US that promote climate change denialism. And it's doing all this by avoiding its most basic responsibilities to the public. Amazon is one of the world's most notorious tax avoiders. It has just $3.4 billion in corporate income taxes this decade, according to Fair Tax Mark. That might sound like a lot, but compare it to Microsoft's tax bill of $46.9 billion on revenues $80 billion lower than Amazon's. Amazon sits on a huge network of resources, from its distribution centers all over the world, to the companies it has purchased, to the data it collects through all its operations. This infrastructure and the data associated with it is a key part of what allows the world economy to function as it does. Amazon has a huge amount of power, too much power, and no democratic accountability. This isn't how the economy is supposed to work. If you ask most economists, they'll tell you that markets should be free and competitive, and no company should have so much power that it can avoid tax, treat its workers appallingly, and harvest its users' data with impunity.
There's only one thing better than owning a vault full of cold, hard cash, and that's swimming in it.
And yet, this is exactly how the modern economy works. It's not just Amazon. It's all the other big tech companies, the big oil companies, the big banks, chemicals, agriculture, food and drink. All of these industries are dominated by a few massive corporations that hold the fate of the world in their hands. Governments are often too busy cozying up to these big powerful corporations to effectively hold them to account. That's why we need to build power to resist them. Amazon workers all over the world are trying to organise in order to demand better pay and conditions. We should all support them in their struggle and demand that our politicians support them too. As we recover from the pandemic, we face a stark choice between an unequal, polluted planet in which our governments, our data, and our working lives are controlled by a couple of incredibly powerful corporate behemoths, or a democratic, sustainable economy in which everyone has a say. Don't let Jeff Bezos decide which path we take.